Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Thanks for being here, sir. Always good to see you.
It's always my pleasure, brother.
Always good to see you. And it was good to talk to you before the podcast. We were talking about how you go into the cold plunge with a snorkel. Tell me about that.
Yes, the cold water shower, the ice water, has always been very helpful for me in terms of controlling emotions and feel peaceful in hell.
Yeah.
So I was doing on the ice bath, but I always put a snorkel and put my head under the water. Because if you keep your head off the water, it becomes very physical, very discomfortable, but doesn't hit the emotional aspect. You don't feel like you're going to die because you don't feel the fear on your face, the discomfortable in your ears and your head, which brings a different dimension of terrifying feelings. So I was putting the snorkel and getting under the water and breathing. When I achieved the calmness in my heart and lungs, I was ready to leave the water. I don't stay there for 10, 15 minutes. I stay there for 1, 2, 3 minutes at the most until I feel very peaceful. And because for me it was more like spiritual than actually physical. I'm not there to treat micro traumas or something. It was more to give me the sense of ready to die any point and feel like if you stay too long under the water, you're gonna die. So if you have to be peaceful and at the same time aware and develop courage, develop calmness, develop spiritual surrender. For me, it's everything I need to perform well.
And so you started doing cold water therapy a long time ago. I mean, it was in the movie Choke when you went into that frozen river.
Yes.
When did you start doing that?
Soon I felt I have to develop some kind of terrifying experiences to make my spiritual mind become comfortable. So big wave surf is always something which terrified me, and I was exposing myself to the ocean to understand the motion of the ocean and be comfortable in this kind of discomfortable situation. Also cold water and other things I always do.
And this was just always a part of you developing yourself for fighting, developing yourself just for overall life?
My life is a very unique one because since I start to understand my status of representing the family through jiu-jitsu, I put myself against the unknown, which is no weight division, no time limits, no rules, no size. So all those unpredictable aspects give me something which is different than just a sport-like lifestyle. I was living more the life of a guy who is ready to anything, anytime. So that kind of preparation requires not only the mental and the technical preparation, but also the spiritual preparation. And sometimes, spiritually speaking, you have to understand how to accept things, how to surrender things, and be above your physicality or actually the fear of dying.
And did you develop these concepts on your own? Did you recognize that you needed to strengthen these aspects of your mind and your body as you were going through this journey?
Yes, definitely. Because if you're going to fight somebody, you don't know who it is, what technique he knows, what size he has, when he's going to fight you. So it's all unpredictable. It's always unknown. And you have to be spiritually strong to accept the unknown comfortably. So my life was preparing myself for something I could not even expect what it is. It's just be ready for anything. And that's required from me, start to bringing scenarios and situations for me to become comfortable in this kind of situations, totally unpredictable. So I like to use nature as a friend of, so the ocean, the rivers, the cold. I like to use the experience of breathing. When I was young, with 12 years old, I was practicing with adults at the academy. So they take care of me, they play with me. And one blue belt, strong guy, get me in a headlock, which normally you have defense for it. But because I was kid, I was tired, and the guy was strong, I could not escape, and I tap. And I get so upset with the tapping because I knew was not something I should do, technically speaking. So I went home. I stretched myself on the edge of a carpet and asked my brother Hollis to roll me up in the carpet in 110 degrees humid Rio de Janeiro. And I was suffocated for a little while because I told him, just let me get out of here in 10 minutes. So the first and second minute was terrifying. I was hot. I could not feel the air. And I started putting my mind on the ocean breeze, flying with seagulls and get breeze on my face and start to be calm. After 10 minutes, my brother unfolded me. I was like a burrito. and then I passed that experience. Somehow I passed through. In the same year, I did 3 more times. Until the point I was getting rolled on the carpet, feeling nothing, stay waiting the time and leave the carpet. So I was fixing myself emotionally with the ways I could feel like was the options I have, how I can suffocate myself and not die. So I was putting myself in some kind of obstacles just to feel comfortable. And after that, I never felt the panicking I felt fighting anymore.
And a lot of that panic can be resolved with another thing that you specialize in, which is breathing exercises.
I feel like the big difference I did on myself to be able to capture more experience emotionally and also spiritually and also physically was breathing. The learning of breathing for me was the huge asset because up to that point, I was an athlete, I was training forever, I was running, I was doing everything I could do, but never with the feeling of full potential. When I started learning how to really function in the breathing system, I started to understand because you can spend 7 days without food, you can spend 3 days without water, but 5 minutes without breathing, you're dead. So learning how to function in proper your breathing is not something you're going to learn when you're born. Because when you're born, you get slapped on your butt, and then you're alive and well to follow your life. But it's much more than just, it's the diaphragmatic breathing, which improves. Like if I breathe wrong, if I breathe right, wrong.
Short breathing.
Yeah, because just on the top of your lungs.
Right.
When you use the diaphragmatic breathing, you're able to bring the air to the lower part, to the back part of your lungs, which triples the amount of air. So when you expert in moving your diaphragmatic breathing, use your diaphragm effectively, you hyperventilate in a way. You may get exhausted physically, but your brain is still sharp enough to get the intelligence, the sharpness, the enlightenment you need to, even when you fading away in muscle speaking, your brain is still cool and functioning. Because normally, when you start to get tired, you start to fading your brain and you start to making poor decisions, you become a little stupid and because there's no enough blood for everything. But if you know how hyperventilate, you become much better in terms of absorbing, fixing your physical, understand your mental, and be able also to use the spiritual.
And when did you learn this stuff?
It was just a time developed to my passion, which was representing the family, representing the jiu-jitsu. And I have no instructors, no mentors in terms. Orlando Cani was my mentor in breathing, which I'm grateful for life. And after his experience, I become effective and know how to breathe and meditate and move and become much more connected with my spiritual elements.
What was Orlando's specialty? What did he do?
He was an Army pentathlon champion in 1965.
Oh,
He was yoga instructor. And he started to develop the biogymnastica, which was an element of combining movements like a eagle. Not like a yoga, which postures and breathing. Was also moves and breathe, and sometimes you fast, sometimes you calm, sometimes you peaceful, sometimes you explosive, sometimes you recruiting full power and keeping for longer. Different practices to give you the sense of incorporating breathing in your functional life, not exactly stop everything, be in a posture and breathe, but fighting and breathe, making love and breathe, and meditate and breathe, sleeping, how to breathe to get a full relax quick. So all the functional aspects to use breathing in your favor.
And so he was a yoga instructor in this, do you call it gymnastica natural? Is that what it's called?
Ginástica natural was, he developed, but he lost the rights to use that name.
Okay.
His name now is biogymnastica.
Biogymnastica.
He is the same master who teaches the ginástica natural, but the guy stole the name from him.
Want to buy from him, but you know, these, and there's a lot of like bullshitting from supermarkets. Like he had a real issue with Whole Foods lying, and even after he had stopped selling them food, they were saying that it was coming from him.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Even the concept of like grass fed, like for how long? Like, and how are you feeding them the grass? Are they in a pen where you feed them the grass? Or are they actually wandering around eating grass like they're supposed to?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, you know, like when you hear about like chickens, you know, they're free range. Like what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, how much of a range?
I just had dinner with our buddy Jesse last night, and
yeah.
it was insane. It was so good. Daidui.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing restaurant here.
Oh,
yeah.
but I was like, okay, well, tell me about this. Tell me about, you know, Longhorn and what Wagyu means on his menu, and and all the pigs and the things that he's seeking out, and like the breed of chicken that they have. But like you were saying, like it's not just the breed. What's that chicken doing?
Right.
And it's insane. It is so freaking cool, man. Like, it's a heartwarming place to eat, and it was just like knock your freaking socks off.
Yeah, Jesse does it the right way, and he's such a good chef. He's so amazing. When Steve and I went to Euphoria down in South Texas to hunt, Jesse came, and he cooked for us. It was the most incredible experience and he cooked diver duck, which everybody says is gross.
Right.
He's like, no. This is you just have to prepare it properly. And it was some of the best duck I've ever had in my life. He just has a marinating process that he does, and then he grills it, and it was insane. It was so good, man. It was so good.
Yeah, they got nominated for a James Beard on his turkey book, which is super awesome. The people down there just, you know, his employees stay there. They've been there they're like everybody in that house has been there for a decade, and they're just loving the stuff that they're doing and putting out, and the stories that he can tell on that menu, right? Like the bread is, he's like, yeah, I went and picked grapes out of the alley across the street, which doesn't sound all that great, but that's how he like started the yeast for the bread, and that's been going for 6 years. They got yogurt that came from a culture that's been going for 200 years from one of their employees whose family's from India, and they brought it over.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, but it takes like dedication and commitment to know where your food comes from.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I swear to God, when I go back to DC and I'm talking to people, like they are so disconnected from this stuff, and I just often think, I'm like, God, if you guys just knew where the food comes from, what the land actually provides, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
No, I mean, human beings, for the most part, in urban areas are completely disconnected. If you had a survey of how many people really understand where food comes from in your average city, I would imagine to less than double digits.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably a small percentage of people really understand.
Yeah, man. I mean, the economics of food I've gotten really into recently because there is a real inability in certain areas of the country where the cost of getting anywhere near an actual grocery store is prohibitive to a lot of people. And so, you know, they're just like, they're shit out of luck for a real food. And then it's a cultural thing of mom didn't know what real food was, dad didn't know what real food was, so
Yeah.
I don't, and my kids won't.
Right.
You know, and then on the flip side of that, it's like food comes from DoorDash, food comes from, you know,
Yeah.
people spending big bucks,
Yeah.
and they're just as disconnected as the folks who don't have any bucks to spend.
Now imagine the Younger Giants impact today. Imagine some kind of impact like that today to force people to actually find their own food. You know, first of all, you'd be dealing with a small amount of survivors, right? Let's imagine an apocalyptic scenario where 20% of the population survives, which has probably happened numerous times in human history. If that happened today, how many people are equipped to find food? How many